Hi, welcome to Game Theory. I'm Sean Gailmard. I'm the professor for this course, and I'm a professor here at UC Berkeley. Although I've been a professor for 14 years here at Berkeley and a couple other universities, I've never taught an online class before. It's been a really interesting process of developing it for me, and thanks to the terrific staff at the Berkeley Office of Summer Sessions that puts these courses together, it's been a really fun process of development. And I think there's some really good content in here too. The basic format that we're going to use for delivering this content involves lectures in this video format that are a lot like the kind of lectures that you would see if you took this class in an on-ground setting in person, where, the standard situation where everybody went to a lecture hall. And that's basically just going to be delivered electronically in little snippets. There's also, of course, the textbook. And although you can read about course policies, you can read about the GSIs, you can read about all of how we're going to handle this course in the syllabus, and please read the syllabus before you ask me, is the exam cumulative and how am I going to be graded and things like this. I'm happy to entertain questions, but please read the syllabus first. But the one thing I did want to pull out of that is that the lectures that are delivered by video and the course textbook are complements, not substitutes, in developing your understanding of the material. So you need to really engage with them both to fully develop your mastery of this material. We will emphasize different things. The lectures in the textbook will emphasize different things. We also have different styles of explanation. You can work with whichever way is easiest for you to get most of your understanding of the course, but you will get better understanding if you read them both, or if you engage with both. So with that out of the way, I want to just briefly introduce what the concept of game theory is about. And game theory is a discipline or a mode of analysis that's been around in social science for about 60 to 65 years, in which we try to understand how individuals pursue their own goals in a situation where other individuals are pursuing their own goals simultaneously. So it's all about how individuals interact with each other in situations of cooperation and conflict. And it basically comes down to a formal analysis of strategic behavior. And I said the word formal analysis, which indicates that there is, which is a euphemism kind of for a certain degree of mathematics that exists in this class. And it is a style of analysis in social science and in political science in particular that's probably a little bit unfamiliar to a lot of students. But I am positive that every student taking this class has the analytical capability to succeed in it. And so when you get the feedback that some of this logic and some of the formal analysis is a little bit different than anything you've ever dealt with, don't be deterred by that. Stick with it, keep going on it, and it's sooner or later, if you keep repeating your work on the parts of the course that don't quite make sense to you, sooner or later it'll click, and it'll feel really good when it does because it's pretty cool. So what we're going to do in this class with game theory is develop the general concept of the theory itself to see how they're applied in a wide variety of settings. And we're also going to look at the applications of game theory that have caught a lot of attention in political science in the last several decades. So we'll be able to study things like, when can we expect individuals who are in conflict with each other to actually engage in cooperation? Or why is the possibility of war between two international actors, why does it have such a big effect on the kinds of diplomatic settlements we can expect between them? Or how does the possibility of a candidate for elective office building up a stockpile of funds or a campaign war chest, how does that work to scare off potential challengers and therefore support the incumbency advantage that is so high in American elections? So we're going to deal with all of these kinds of applications in this class. And in order to do that, we're going to need to develop some formal tools, some of which might be a little bit unfamiliar, but which we'll build up step by step. And we're going to start by doing that in our first topic, in our first group of lectures, where we're simply going to introduce the concept of a model and what we use models for in social science, because that alone is probably a little bit of a step that people haven't taken in a lot of other classes. So we're going to look at that, and we'll look at what we mean by rational choice, because rational choice is a very important mode of analysis. It's the central mode of analysis in all of the game theory that we're going to deal with in this class. So it's really important. It's also often misunderstood because people have some kind of confusion about what are the cognitive assumptions that you have to make, or what are the assumptions about maybe selfish behavior that you have to make about rational players. And the truth is you don't have to assume any of this. That's not at all what we mean by rational choice. So I want to be very clear on exactly what that is. With those elements out of the way, we'll actually jump straight in to the formal definition of a game, which is a model of a social situation in which individuals choose their actions and collectively they determine an outcome that they all care about by choosing actions that each of them control. And this is basically the hallmark of games and what the analysis of games is about. And what we're going to be interested in throughout this entire class is what is it reasonable to expect a rational player to do in this social situation that we represent formally as a game. And so we're going to deal with that situation of what can we expect rational players to do under all kinds of different conditions of the types of information that the players have and the order in which they interact with each other, all kinds of things of this nature. And so with that general overview out of the way, we're just going to jump right into the first group of topics.